Did you know that St. Peter's Basilica is actually sitting on top of an ancient necropolis? If you didn't know this, then buckle up, because today we are going to talk about the 8 most amazing facts about this gigantic church. So let's get started. Number 8. The Tomb of St. Peter. As I just mentioned, St. Peter's Basilica is built on top of the Vatican necropolis. This necropolis was used from the 1st century AD until the 6th century AD by the Romans. The burial ground was initially used by the wealthy families of Rome to bury their dead. However, in the 3rd century AD, it fell into disuse after the persecution of Christians began under Emperor Decius. It was during the persecution of Christians that St. Peter, one of Jesus Christ's 12 apostles, was crucified upside down on a cross near this very same necropolis. After the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which legalized Christianity throughout the Roman Empire, people started burying Christians here again. And over time, the area became known as the Vatican Hill. Then, in the mid-4th century, excavations revealed what was believed to be the tomb of St. Peter. Since then, this basilica has been constructed over the supposed site of his burial. But archaeological findings have shown us that there is no evidence of an original tomb. What we do have evidence for is that in the 1930s and 40s, excavations were carried out by the Vatican under the high altar. And during these excavations, several bodies were found buried underneath the altar. Some historians believe that the bodies found may have belonged to members of the first Christian community in Rome, or even to the Apostle Peter himself. These remains are now kept in the Vatican Necropolis Museum, where they can still be visited today. In the crypt below the basilica, there is also a bronze urn containing the remains of 4 popes. Number 7. Michelangelo's Pieta. One of the most popular attractions inside St. Peter's Basilica is Michelangelo's Pieta. This sculpture is located at the back of the high altar, and when it was first displayed here in 1551, it immediately became the center of attention because of its beauty. The Pieta is a marble sculpture created by Michelangelo between 1498 and 1500, and it depicts Mary, the mother of Jesus, holding the dead body of her son after he was taken down from the cross. The sculpture was originally placed above the entrance to the French Academy, but it was moved to St. Peter's Basilica because the French Academy was concerned that the sculpture would be damaged by the crowds of tourists. While the Pieta was being moved, people literally chipped off pieces of it to keep as souvenirs. In 1938, a man named Laszlo Garder switched places with the Pope's Pieta and put his own sculpture, which was made of plaster and painted to look like marble, in its place. He was able to fool everyone for over 20 years before his scheme was discovered. Unfortunately, this is not the only damage to the Pieta. During the French Revolution, soldiers used the sculpture as a target practice, and they managed to chip off some of the fingers on Mary's right hand. Later, in 1839, an unknown assailant slashed at the Pieta with a hammer and damaged the nose of Jesus. To prevent further vandalism, the sculpture was covered with a protective barrier, which unfortunately makes it impossible to see in detail. It's a shame that such a beautiful work of art has to be hidden away like this, but it's necessary to protect it from people with bad intentions. Number 6. Baldassare Peruzzi's frescoes. Did you know that the ceiling of the nave of St. Peter's Basilica features frescoes by one of the most renowned Italian Renaissance painters, Baldassare Peruzzi? It took him and his assistants about 7 years to paint all of those frescoes, which cover an area of about 6,000 square meters. The paintings depict scenes from the life of St. Peter, including his call to become an apostle, his denial of Jesus, and his miraculous catch of fish. The frescoes are considered to be some of Peruzzi's best work, and they are especially notable for their vivid colors and dynamic compositions. They were completed in 1512, shortly before Peruzzi's death, and they had a significant impact on subsequent ceiling decorations in churches, particularly in Rome. The artist achieved such fame with his work on the ceiling of St. Peter's Basilica that he was hired to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, too. But he never finished the job since he died before he could complete the work. No. 5. The Chair of St. Peter. The Cathedra Petri, also known as the Chair of St. Peter, is a bronze chair located in the apse of St. Peter's Basilica. It was created by the sculptor Antonio del Pollaiolo in 1450 and is considered to be one of the finest examples of Renaissance sculpture. The chair is decorated with scenes from the life of St. Peter, including his call to become an apostle, his denial of Jesus, and his miraculous catch of fish. The back of the chair is decorated with 4 marble panels depicting scenes from the life of Christ, and the sides of the chair are decorated with 4 bronze statues representing the 4 evangelists. The Chair of St. Peter is an important relic in the Catholic Church, and it is venerated as the actual chair that Peter sat on during his papacy. Every year on the Feast of St. Peter, the Pope celebrates Mass in front of the chair, and bishops from around the world come to venerate it. Number 4. The Confessio. The Confessio is a shrine located below the high altar of St. Peter's Basilica. It contains the tomb of St. Peter and other relics from the early Christian period. The shrine was built in the 12th century and renovated in the 18th century. Visitors can access the Confessio by descending a spiral staircase from the basilica floor. Inside the Confessio, there is a small chapel containing the tomb of St. Peter, as well as a number of other tombs and relics from the early Christian period. There are also a number of interesting artifacts on display, including part of the cross that is said to have been used in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The Confessio is an important pilgrimage site for Catholics from around the world who come to venerate the tomb of the Apostle Peter. Number 3. The Bronze Door. St. Peter's Basilica has 4 bronze doors, each adorned with intricate sculptures depicting scenes from the life of Christ and the Virgin Mary. The doors are considered to be some of the finest examples of Renaissance sculpture and were created by some of the most renowned sculptors of the era. The main entrance, called the Porta Santa, is decorated with scenes from the life of Christ and is located at the base of the stairs leading up to the basilica. This door is only opened on special occasions, such as Holy Year celebrations, when it serves as the entrance for pilgrims who come to visit the tomb of St. Peter. The 3 other bronze doors are located on either side of the facade and depict scenes from the life of the Virgin Mary and the Baptist St. John. They are the Porta del Giudizio Universale, or the Door of the Last Judgment, created by Michelangelo, the Porta del Paradiso, or the Door of Paradise, created by Lorenzo and Giacomo della Porta, as well as a group of other artists, and the Porta di San Giovanni Battista, or the Door of St. John the Baptist, created by Michelangelo. Each of these doors is unique and beautiful in its own way, and they are definitely worth taking a closer look at if you ever visit the Basilica. Number 2. Bernini's Baldacchino. When you walk into St. Peter's Basilica, one of the first things that will catch your eye is the enormous baldacchino that stands above the high altar. The baldacchino, which was designed by Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the 17th century, is made of bronze and gold and is supported by 4 massive columns. It was created to commemorate the discovery of St. Peter's tomb in 1939. The baldacchino is decorated with intricate carvings of flowers, fruits, and religious figures, and it is considered to be one of Bernini's greatest works. It took Bernini and his assistants about 10 years to complete the baldacchino, and it is truly a masterpiece of Baroque architecture. The baldacchino is an important part of the basilica's interior, and it serves as a focal point for religious ceremonies. And number 1, the dome. The dome of St. Peter's Basilica is one of the most recognizable landmarks in Rome. Designed by the Renaissance architect Donato Bramante It was completed in the 16th century by Michelangelo and stands 107 meters tall. The dome is decorated with fresco paintings by Pier delle Botticini and Giovanni de Tuami, which depict scenes from the life of Christ and the Virgin Mary. Visitors can climb to the top of the dome for a panoramic view of Rome. The construction of the dome was a major undertaking, and it took about 150 years to complete. It was originally designed by Donato Bramante as a simple brick dome, but it was later redesigned by Michelangelo as a double-shell concrete dome. The dome is considered to be one of the greatest achievements of Renaissance architecture, and it was a major inspiration for later architects. I hope you enjoyed learning more about St. Peter's Basilica. This is a truly amazing place, and I highly recommend visiting if you have the opportunity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.